He has been a psychiatrist for around 39 years. He has an organization on stress management. He did research with Sion Hospital on Alzheimer's and dementia. He's also an author of two Marathi books on children and depression. And he is a regular columnist with Lok Satta, Lok Satta, and various radio and TV shows. So welcome, Dr. Joshi. Yeah. So I request Sachin to talk about his experience with Samaritans and about suicide and suicide.
Okay. Is this audible? Oh, it's hello. Yeah. Right. So I honestly, I'm not sure what I was supposed to talk about here because this is the organization that I represent as well. And but I figured I had a small chat with Kamaini before I could come over. And my question was, what do I talk about? And she was like, talk about suicide. That's what you do all the time. So I guess because there is a chance that this message can go out much more than the people that are here, because a lot of you have been associated with suicide prevention for quite some time. So there isn't much I can give you awareness about with regards to suicide and how much of it is a problem for us. So maybe this can be a message to those who may be hearing outside of this group, and maybe it's something that may help you guys to increase the conversation outside as well. Probably I should start something with the basic statistics that we have for suicide in India. Currently, India is the leading country in the world for the number of suicides that are happening. And we are ahead of China. We have been ahead of China for over 4 years, I believe, because they had a national suicide prevention strategy that was working. And we can talk about how Chinese may not be giving out the right numbers, but guess what? They came up with their suicide prevention strategy, and boom! From the next year, we are seeing they're going from one of the largest number of female suicides in the world to effectively reducing it by over 50,000. Unfortunately, India is nowhere close. We have taken on the mantle as the largest suicide deaths for a country. We are amongst women. We are the highest population for suicides. In fact, we are 1/3 of the entire world's population of women that are dying by suicide are in India. 15 to 30 years of age. In the country, which has been noted as the largest population of productive age that human beings can have. Guess what? Our most productive age is dying by suicide as the biggest cause of death, with over 164,000 people dying in 2021, which is our official statistic. But there is something more. Just by the official statistic, out of 750,000 that died in the world, India is over 22% of that number. And that is not just because of the number of the population that we have, but also our rate of suicide, which is around 11.3 per lakh, which is also quite high. Now, just to kind of make these numbers a bit more understandable, we are talking about over 450, almost 450 people dying by suicide every year. Now, that would mean, for example, imagine if every single day of 2021, because this data that I'm giving you is the latest data from 2021. And that data tells us that over 450 people died by suicide. That means, imagine if every single day in India a jumbo jet crashed. And every single person in that jumbo jet, including the passengers, the pilots, the air stewardess, everyone, if every single person died, maybe even then we may not have 450 people die. But imagine, just take this part, right? If you were seeing in the news that 2 planes crashed back to back in 2 days, how many of us would be canceling our tickets or seriously considering canceling our tickets? What if that happened for a week? Would we have anyone travel by air after that? Right? We had one Malaysian Airlines that disappeared, and we saw a major dip happening in travel by airline. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we have been having consistently over 1 lakh people die by suicide since 2008. That's around 15 years where suicide has been such a big concern, and we have absolutely no data that we have been talking about. In fact, we would rather not talk about it. Um, been training people in this area for over 9 years, over thousands of people that I've trained. Everyone seems to be surprised that even such a helpline can exist. And why do we talk about suicide when we are going to any organization? They would rather tell us talk about mental wellness, because apparently that is what is needed to stop suicide. Unfortunately, it doesn't help. Um, what we are seeing is a pandemic that has been going on longer than Corona. In fact, the year which Corona claimed the most number of lives, even that year, suicide had over 12,000 people more. So, just a consideration for all of us thinking the amount of protection that we took for Corona. Everyone seated here, nobody's wearing a mask. That's but we are having a run rate of what 12,000 people per day now. But now that fear isn't there about Corona, right? We can talk about it. 2 years back, we were scared to talk about it. Corona bolenge to ho jayega. But it doesn't work that way. Now we are much more clearer about it. So what we are talking about is improving our knowledge about suicide, not listening to the media and the news coverage of suicide. Um, just to kind of imply why I'm saying that, we would rather not ask about to our relatives, to our friends, if we are seeing that they are going through a really, really rough time and they are finding it really hard to handle themselves. But we would rather not ask them, hey, bro, have you been having thoughts of suicide because you seem to be just going through a lot? Instead of asking this question, we may be very much happy to share pictures of a celebrity who has died by suicide, and we are happy to share those pictures that can be, in fact, more triggering. So, one more information from me for media, from the World Health Organization, any details about suicide, for example, how the person died, and also not to glamorize or sensationalize suicide because it ends up uh, giving a way out to a huge chunk of population who's going through the pain where they may actually be looking for ways to die. And as media, as news, there is a responsibility that they have where they do not actually now start training people. देखो दुकान जहाँ से रस्सी खरीदते हैं, कितने की रस्सी मिलती है और गांठ कैसे बांधते हैं. This is the type of information that we are more happy to share around mental health and suicide, which is quite heartbreaking, because that is actually adding to the numbers. So the only humble request we have from Samaritans and from Befrienders India, where we are running these helplines across India, and it is free. These are people who are not even mental health professionals. These are just your regular people who have been trained to be better listeners, who can be there as part of your pain so that you can talk free, without any concern and worry. But no matter what you may have done, and no matter what you may have gone through, to call us up, even if you're not suicidal for that matter, share, take the help, and hopefully we can reduce the number on suicide going ahead. But yeah, inviting everyone to help spread the awareness around that, to not be scared about the word suicide, because being afraid of this word is adding to the stigma rather than helping people come out of it. So just that, ask the question, and maybe you may be able to save a life too. So you don't need to be a Samaritans or a Befrienders volunteer to help save a life. You can do it in your own life as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Satyam. Yeah, I just wanted to share as well that I've been doing outreaches, and without naming anybody, but psychologists and psychology professors, they told me suicide ki baat nahi karni. Talk about mental well-being. And I said, okay. But then I talked about suicide, and she couldn't do anything about it. So, yeah, with psychologists also, it's a stigma. Then what about common person? I would request Kanishka to welcome Dr. Milind Joshi by giving him a welcome kit. Also, thank you so much, Dr. Joshi, for accepting at the last minute because Dr. Harish Shetty had a personal emergency and he could not make it. Now, I will request you to kindly share your experience, especially regarding children and depression, since you have written authored books on depression and child issues. I would request you to talk about that.
Yes. Thank you very much for inviting me at 11th hour. The problem with people who market very well, like you introduced, I mean, you have got a very sharp memory. Today I said just my 3 pages of CV. You still could remember only 2 corrections. I have done research on Alzheimer's dementia at Sion Hospital for 3 years. When I was in Paris in 1998, if I would have done there, you would have seen me everywhere. Now she has to introduce that he has done. That's the rate of literacy in India. Suicide is the hot selling cake. You make a movie, it will be full. Because every normal human being is born with perversion. We like to read somebody's suicide. And if that is celebrity, wonderful. सब में धंधा होता है. We look like human being, but there's a question, are we really human? I think this gentleman has taken all the types of statistics inside. I was getting suicidal ideation. My God, how can he remember so much? I don't have any statistics. Let's be practical. I've been practicing as psychiatrist for last 30 years, a middle class man, not working with pharmaceuticals and making my advertisement and making number one India's psychiatrist so that I can be called everywhere, because I don't need that. Your work should get recognition. You should be famous when you work for somebody and that person gives you blessings which cannot be purchased. When I become MBBS, when I started my practice, there are beautiful challenges for MBBS doctors. Then how doctors will commit suicide, I will tell you. I am not foolproof when I am sitting here that I am not suicidal. Can anybody judge that tomorrow I will not commit suicide? Don't take a challenge. I will do it. On a lighter note of this. When I became a doctor, nobody was doctor in my house, and then I went to GP. बोले ये पढ़ाई बिढ़ाई छोड़ दे, don't start the academy. धंधा नो हुआ. गुजराती मानस चाहिए कि नहीं आया? 20% 30%. તમે પણ કાર ખરીદલો, હું પણ કાર ખરીદશું. ભણાવવાનું શું માટે? મગજમારી. That's the respect we have got about Saraswati Mata. You are so-called intellectuals. So-called. Prefix is very important. Then I had no choice. They said, you give us commission, we'll send the patient, otherwise no. I went to lots of organizations, they kicked me out, not physically, mentally. इसमें धंधा नहीं है, मतलब की बात नहीं है. बड़ा आदमी बनना है तो पैसे की बात चाहिए. I started learning suicidal ideation there only. How people look beautiful, wonderful organization, 5 stars. I'm not against anybody's richness, but your mind should be also rich. Merely looking beautiful is meaningless. Beauty is skin deep. I started my organization, the Academy of Stress Management and Parental Guidance, 30 years back. When I was a young, handsome guy. I know it's difficult to digest that I was handsome one upon a time. But still, you'll have to digest. Don't be suicidal. When I started, I went to my colleagues. हम लोग लोगों में जाके सिखाते हैं. तेरे को खड़ा कौन करेगा? सेलिब्रिटी थोड़ा है. तेरे को खड़ा कौन करेगा? Then I took that as a challenge. And then 30 years I'm doing across India. Recently, I have done the project of rehabilitation of municipality children by going to their SEO, Mahesh Palkar, and done rehabilitation of 3 lakh municipal children, how to identify learning disorders and how to rehabilitate them free of cost. Thank you. Mr. Mahesh Palkar asked me a question that we kept lectures and professors at Sayan Nayak, Kaim and Jide, they have never done for it. Why you are done? Are you a big shot? First answer was no. What did you get from working with us? I said the blessings. Because at the end of the day, nothing comes to your rescue than your deeds, karmas. There is a share for it. इर्शाद तो को जिंदा है या सब जन सुसाइड यानी सुसाइड में ही चले गए. अभी तो मेन टॉपिक को आप थोड़ा मेरे को वक्त का बता ना, मैं 8 घंटा लेक्चर लेकर. डोंट वरी, आज नहीं होगा, 2 मिनट लगेगा. जरा वक्त का बात. आप मैं हार्ड कोर टीचर हूँ ना, तो टीचर को गद्दी पे बिठा दिया तो क्या? वो सरस्वती माता का वरदान ही होता है. ये कुछ लिख के नहीं आया था. इन्होंने मुझे सुबह फोन किया, बोला मेरे को मालूम नहीं कैसा ओरिएंटेशन है, जो आया बोलो. बोला ठीक है, अपने पास तो बहुत स्टॉक है. We search for God and all that. Simple thing we have forgotten. मंदिर में ना रहता है ना मस्जिद में, मंदिर में ना रहता है ना मस्जिद में, ना ही रहता है गिरजाघरों में. खुदा तो रहता है जिस्म के चार दीवारों में और अपने कर्मों से भूलता है. उसके लिए सेलिब्रिटी फेमस होने का गरज है ही नहीं. आज मेरा योगी था इधर आने का, सो कॉल्ड फेमस साइकियाट्रिस्ट. क्या धरती खा गई या आसमान निकल गया? ऐसा कौन सा इमरजेंसी आ गया? मेरा तकदीर ही था, मेरे कर्मों ने मेरे इधर लाया. मैं इनमें से किसी को जानता नहीं, किसी के साथ सेटिंग नहीं करना ही नहीं है. सर बोले, हम लोग ने एक प्रोग्राम किया था 4 बरस पहले एक सेलिब्रिटी के पास, उन्होंने सितार के साथ लोगों का मन शांत किया था. मैंने ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम के माध्यम से, हम लोग दोनों अलग राह चलने वाले, लेकिन हमारी मंजिल एक है. इसके लिए हम मिले. How can somebody will go up? The topic was prevention of suicide, na? How many people are taking hypertensive medicines? Blood pressure की? अरे वाह, quite confident यहाँ तो ऊपर आके. How many people take diabetes medicine? अच्छा, चलो ठीक है. And how many people take antidepressant anxiolytics? Psychiatric medicine? चलो कोई भी ईमानदारी जिंदा है अभी, जिंदगी में सुकून है. बाकी सब शराफत के नकाब में. We are people, the more we become literate, we want to run away from realities of life. Write it down. When we become literate, we should face the problem. We are escapists. The more intellectual you are, see what a paradox. You find out the loopholes, how you run away, and that's the problem with the psychiatry. How you recognize that you are in depression? According to Sigmund Freud, who started the psychiatry, father of psychiatry, he was neurologist basically. He was fed up with neurology. Even today's neurologists are fed up. कुछ नहीं दे सकता, मल्टीविटामिन सीचीज का एमआरआई फिर डॉक्टर जोशी के पास ही भेजना है, बैंक बैलेंस खत्म होने के बाद. और उसको कॉर्पोरेट हॉस्पिटल चाहिए क्योंकि टारगेट उनका नाम होता है. चलो वो अपना रास्ता चले, हम अपना. Sigmund Freud has said every so-called normal human being, so-called because nobody is normal in this hall and outside this hall under the sun. You get it? I'll prove the abnormality. If not, I'll leave the chair. We assume that we are normal. बकवास, इससे बड़ी कोई बात नहीं. Sigmund Freud has said every normal human being who is born has born with a desire for suicide which is not yet expressed. जो बम अपने मन में अब तक फूटा नहीं, तो बम तक कब नहीं जाने का. How you recognize that somebody is depression? Somebody said prevention of suicide. No? डायरिया के लक्षण मालूम होते हैं सबको, ब्लड प्रेशर के मालूम होते हैं. बिगेस्ट वरी इज द गूगल डॉक्टर. नाउडेज लेटेस्ट पेशेंट का हमारा ये डायग्नोसिस है, ये है ट्रीटमेंट वाला, गूगल से ट्रीटमेंट ले लो अपने को. सब गूगल सीए, गूगल एचआरडी, गूगल एक्टर्स, गूगल कोरियोग्राफर्स, नाउ गूगल डॉक्टर्स. व्हाट आर द साइन सिम्टम्स ऑफ डिप्रेशन? वही नहीं सीखा. हम लोग भी एमबीबीएस में रट्टा मार के पास हो गया. अभी तो मेरा कुछ तो नॉट इंटरेस्ट इन लाइफ. सुबह वाइफ से झगड़ा हो गया तो वैसे ही लगता है, शाम को इंटरेस्ट आ जाता है. उसका क्या बात है? अरे बाप रे, ये बहुत इंटेलेक्चुअल है. परपेचुअल ऐसा बहुत अभी खिचड़ी हो जाएगी इंटेलेक्चुअल वर्ड्स का. हम लोग मुद्दे पे आ जाते हैं. विल डू रिस्पेक्टिव आंसर. साइन सिम्टम्स, रिमेंबर, जिंदगी में सब भूल गए ना. अल्जाइमर डिमेंशिया का मैंने 3 बरस रिसर्च किया ना. वो तो आजकल जिंदगी में सब फास्ट हो गया. लोग जवान भी जल्दी होता है, पैसा भी जल्दी कमाता है. सर मैं 25 हूँ, मेरे को डायबिटीज, हाइपरटेंशन. अरे वाह, बीमारी भी जल्दी. वो हाइपरटेंशन डायबिटीज नहीं बोलने का, एकदम तुक्का मारा ऐसा लगता है. लाइफस्टाइल इलनेसेस, ओ माय गॉड. जुना जहर नया बॉटल में, वाइन भी नहीं. वाइन तो थोड़ी जिंदगी बचा सकती है. ओल्ड पॉइजन इन न्यू बॉटल. पहले 70 में होता था. आई एम आईटी मैन, आई एम आईटी डायरेक्टर एंड आई एम हैविंग हाइपरटेंशन डायबिटीज एट 30. और दीवार पे फोटो भी जल्दी. सब जल्दबाजी में. सुकून किसको नहीं, सुकून किसको नहीं. और उसको सब ऐसा बड़ा बड़ा कोई फॉरवर्ड ऐसा जिसका एकदम इंग्लिश तगड़ा है ना, आईसीएससी आईबीसी, उसको मैंने जरा पन्ना लिख. लाइफस्टाइल इंग्लिश मॉड्यूलेशन. घुमा फिरा के समझता कुछ नहीं, घुमा फिरा के उधर ही है. सीधी सी बात है. डिप्रेशन कब चालू होता है? मेरे पास 6 बरस से बच्चे आते हैं डिप्रेशन. फादर डायरेक्टर ऑफ वन ऑफ द बिग कंपनी, मदर चेयरपर्सन. They said, Dr. Joshi, we are sending our son for counseling with servant. I said, why? No, we can give you double fees. सबको खरीदने को ही बैठे सब लोग, बट वी कैन नॉट गिव टाइम. एक एक मिनट का हमारा हिसाब होता है, वी डोंट हैव टाइम. हम लोग हमारे बच्चों की मौत का कुआं बनते हैं पेरेंट्स. उनको लगता है बड़ा स्कूल, बड़े पैसे, शोफर ड्राइवन कार, सेलिब्रिटी के साथ फोटो, सब वो नहीं चाहिए बच्चों को, बिकॉज वी कांट अफोर्ड टू गिव क्वालिटी टाइम. We are all universally mobile addict. Husband wife don't fight because they are busy with their own mobile. Not they like each other, blunder. Ask any normal, honest person. All words are important. After 5 years, how is your marriage going? He said, we go to Dr. Joshi.
And 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Okay. Thanks. Thank you very much. Signs, symptoms of depression, hopelessness. डॉक्टर साहब अभी मैं हिंदी में जरा डालूंगा. हाउ पेशेंट्स कम टू मी. मेरे पास सब है लेकिन जिंदगी जीने में अर्थ नहीं लगता है. वर्थलेसनेस, लाइफ इज नॉट वर्थ. सैडनेस ऑफ मूड. इफ एनीथिंग गोज रॉन्ग विथ मी राइट नाउ, टेम्पररीली आई विल बी सैड, आई विल बी आउट ऑफ द हॉल, द सैडनेस गॉन. दैट्स नॉट अ डिप्रेशन. 24 hours into 7, more than 10 days, 15 days, सब जन हंसते खेलते हैं, मैं क्राउड में अलोन फील करता हूँ. सैडनेस ऑफ मूड. क्राइंग स्पेल्स, कुछ भी नहीं होता, रोने को दिल करता है. पूरा बॉडी सिम्टम, सीटी स्कैन कराया, एमआरआई गया, सब डॉक्टर सब मशीन में धुलाया, लेकिन बैकेज जाता नहीं है. अरे उधर जाना ही नहीं चाहिए. सोमैटिक सिम्टम्स. डिक्रीज एपेटाइट, इंक्रीज एपेटाइट. फीमेल्स now lot of things. PCOD is also catchy thing, unfortunately. PCOS, every third patient comes to me. PCOD, polycystic ovarian disorder, 100% डिप्रेशन. लेकिन आता बहुत कम है. सब गायनेक के पास जाके हार्मोनल पिल लेता है, और गायनेक लास्ट सेंटेंस बोलता है टेंशन नहीं लेने का. वो बोलते हैं डॉक्टर साहब हम बाजार में जाके बढ़िया से टेंशन खरीदते नहीं, अंदर से आते हैं. लेकिन कोई बोलता नहीं साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास जाओ, क्योंकि सिग्मा स्थिर है. वो सिर्फ अक्टूबर में मेंटल हेल्थ तो और भर भर के टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया के पेड इंटरव्यू आते हैं, तो अरे बाप रे डिप्रेशन है, मेरा भी फोटो छपवा. सब मगज चालू है. Intellectual journey. So these are hopelessness, worthlessness, sadness, about crying spells. Then inability to sleep in the night. Only Hindi movies run in the thing. मुझे नींद ना आए, मुझे नींद ना आए. Only Hindi movies. Insomnia, inability to initiate and maintain sleep. सब किया, इधर से किया, उधर से किया, लाल बत्ती लगाया, पीला बत्ती लिया, होम्योपैथिक लगाया, फिजियोथेरेपी किया, लेकिन नींद आती नहीं. बीमारी इधर, इलाज किधर कर रहे, नीचे. दिमाग घुटनों में डाल के रखा है. Then suicidal ideation, very important things. What is suicidal ideation? Suicidal gesture. Lots of parents after the suicide come to for their depression to me. My 18 years child has gone, my 20 years child has gone. He has given all these symptoms which are telling hopelessness, worthlessness, sadness of mood, crying spells, easy irritability, easy fatigability, memory problems, inability to concentrate, blah blah blah. Then I said, why didn't you get him? लेकिन लोग क्या कहेंगे, मेरे जात पात वाले क्या कहेंगे अगर मैं साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास जाता हूँ? पागल के डॉक्टर के पास मैं क्यों जाऊं? सबसे बड़ा पागल. मरने के बाद मेरी आंख खुली कि आप जो लेक्चर लेता था, जिसका पहले मैं मजाक उड़ाता था, आज मैं वही. I am selling in the same book. I wish I would have honored. Don't honor me at all. There are 10,000 psychiatrists. Honor the philosophy, psychology of life. Don't worship a person. He is going to die. Worship the knowledge. And if lots of parents, lots of people here or outside this hall by mistake said नहीं यार जिंदगी में जीना नहीं, जान देना चाहता हूँ, तो लिख के देना, वो देगा. मेरा जीपी डॉक्टर को बोला, तो पेशेंट क्यों नहीं बोला? तो मैंने क्या ट्रीटमेंट दिया? मैं उसको बोला कुछ नहीं, बॉल डांस को जा, रात को शराब मार, और मस्त मूवी अमिताभ की लगी है जहाँ सुसाइड धुल जाएगा. वो क्या धोबी है क्या, कपड़ा लगा धुल जाएगा? सुसाइड वी टेक वेरी लाइटली. एवरीबॉडी इन दिस हॉल इज प्रोन फॉर सुसाइड unless and until proved otherwise. So this was also, I take 8 hours when I go to medical colleges. I talk about serotonin, dopamine, neurochemicals, and last but not least, half minute. Is my big brother Joshi. You know the rare species is surviving on Earth. Now no more Joshi than that. So अभी बचे ही कम है, because we met through website also. The extinction lecture, they were written dinosaur, Walrus, shark, and all that. And last, Vivek Joshi and Milind Joshi. Then we made a comment. तो बोला जितना दिन जिंदा है तो तब मन में लेता है. Last and least, why people don't go to psychiatrist? Psychiatrist जो दवाई देते हैं उसकी लत लग जाती है. मोहब्बत की लत लग गई तो चल गई. मुझे इसके लिए लग गई लत, उस पे गाने. When you take antihypertensive, anti-diabetes, you are drug dependent, you are drug addict. But then you don't call them. But when somebody gives psychiatrist medicine, you call them drug addict. और वो पढ़े लिखे लोग, मैंने तो अनपढ़ को बाजू में ही रखा है, वो तो नॉलेजेबल भी नहीं है। क्या नॉलेज उपयोग का जब हम लोग बात ऐसी करते हैं जिसका दिल दुखाते हैं। The simplest thing is antidepressant anxiolytics can be given for 6 to 9 months, provided patient follows up regularly. That is very important. 90% dropout, and after 9 months there is a break. We can give break-free intervals. 50% of any psychiatrist don't see me at all. Psychiatrist is also happy. He is also happy or she is also happy. रोज दुखड़ा चेहरा क्या देखने का, और सुकून भी मिल गया, चलो अच्छा हो गया, छूट गया। लेकिन 50% of the people have to take it lifelong. Nothing wrong. Instead of committing suicide, take medicines. You are not ashamed of diabetes and hypertension and all that. Then why about this? और जात पात क्या कहेंगे, कुछ तो लोग कहेंगे, लोगों का काम है कहना। लोगों को सुनोगे तो सुसाइड जरूर करोगे। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Thank you very much for a very entertaining talk, Dr. Kushi. And keeping in time, I'll request our last panelist, Vivek Joshi, to talk about his experience on music therapy and mental health.
So, good evening. Let's come to wellness. And I started this therapy because I stayed in Singapore in 2000, and white people used to admire our music. They used to tell us that Indian music is very spiritual. And that was at the back of my mind. After coming from Singapore, I met a person in Nehru Center, a diamond merchant staying in Nepean Road. He said that in US, music therapy has a course of 4 years, like Temple University, Berkeley University, and you are taught all medical subjects and either guitar or vocal. So why don't you start? Because you have a background of Ayurvedic pharma industry. And he said, you come to my house. I went to his house. He showed me some cassettes. Sleeplessness, anti-anxiety, those kind of titles were there on the CD. And it was a cassette of Dr. P. Bharti, Chennai. She was a professor of physiology, and she used to play guitar, Carnatic style guitar. Carnatic style veena. Veena is which has a good bass, and it is very close to the vocal cord. So he showed me that. He said, you go to KM hospital first, meet the dean, and say that I want to perform for your professors, and I want to start musical intervention in your hospital. Luckily, dean lady, she was knowing me because of my profession, and she accepted my request. She said, you come to tomorrow, we have a meeting. You come there, I'll give you only 5 minutes. You tell your name and subject. And that's all. I went there. I met all 50 professors and lecturers from KM Hospital in my 5 minutes of presence there. She said, while I was coming out of the auditorium, she said, will you perform for 1 hour next Wednesday, we have staff society meeting, and administrative officers, nursing staff, there were many people, must be many people. I said, yeah, sure. And I remember I performed in 2004 June, it was raining. I performed a rag called as Miyaki Mallar. Mallar means it is a seasonal rag. Now coming to the point is, after that, I just requested the vote of thanks was given by HOD Psychiatry, and she said, we'll wait for some time. We are making some digitalization, and then we can do some studies on your live concert and pre-recorded music. But because of some problems in the BMC, Somehow that machine did not come. I phoned many times. Ultimately, I left the house. And then, luckily, one day I met the Dean of San Hospital in Nehru Center. He said, "Wonderful. It's a very interesting topic. I'm a cardiologist, and you come there." So I remember it was at 3 o'clock. Sir has come. Manohar sir has come. Welcome, sir. Yeah, yeah. So, so there we made some pilot study. 4 concepts were performed in front of psychotic patients, and we came to know that without any background of music, they were responding. Luckily, there was a IPS conference in 2006 Jan, Renaissance Hotel, Andheri. I was taken by department, the whole team of San Hospital to the conference. I met so many psychiatrists there from Maharashtra and outside also. And I met the medical superintendent of Thana Mental Hospital. He was told that this person is a musician, and we did some pilot study. I think patients are responding in spite of knowing zero about knowledge Indian classical music. He is interested to come to your hospital and perform for patients. He looked at me, medical superintendent looked at me and said, "What? कलयुग में ऐसा है?" I said, "Yes, sir. This is because I read in Reader's Digest many years back that concerts are arranged in medical colleges and hospitals as a therapy." He said, "It's amazing, wonderful." That was Saturday. And he said, "You come to my hospital on Monday." Luckily, because of my profession, I had seen the hospital 2 times. Otherwise, for any musician to enter into a hospital, mental hospital, was difficult. Anybody will get scared. We don't know what is going on inside. You may get patients may hammer you. Anything is possible. So I remember I reached there, and first concert was given to patients sitting in an observation ward. They are only admitted only for 30 days. It is a borderline case, and doctors have to prove whether they are normal or psychotic. So he said, "You perform for these patients first, and let us see how is the response." Response was so amazing. Only one patient, he said, "I am not interested in music." What Why is this said? That you go and sit there and please don't disturb here. To the greatness of, I don't know what happened, there was a pin drop silence of 30 minutes. People, patients sat just like a municipal school, no beds, nothing. And I performed for 30 minutes. Physiotherapist and occupational therapist, they were sitting next to me. I finished in 30 minutes, packed my instrument, and we left. 2 patients came running after us. We got scared. क्या हो गया? Tomorrow, are you coming? I said, "Yeah, let us see." Because what's your name? And how come you reached here? And we want to listen to you tomorrow again. I said, "अच्छा लगा?" He said, "Yeah, it's very good. We don't understand what you played, but it was very soothing." And I said, "Yes, certainly come tomorrow. Tomorrow, I was taken to the female ward, and there was a British Legion building structure, the stereophonic kind of sound I was getting on my throat. Patients have started asking me, young ladies, what is music therapy? What is your research? Whether it is effective? I said, surprising. This is, yes, I said it is effective. Now you listen for 30 minutes and see. So that was the second concept. Third concept was for inside, there is a jail and prisoners, means they're criminals actually. They are treated and pay doctors, they have to confirm whether they are psychopaths or normal. Punishment is depending on their decision. I performed there. There was a good question. What is the difference in between a sitar, sarod, violin, flute, and guitar and everything? So after that, there were 6 concerts in a very big hall, and NDTV came, Times of India came, many people came. It was packed hall. I tell you, 50 patients from female ward, 50 patients from male ward, pin drop silence. I was surprised that how patients sit so long. Even after 1 hour, I finished. The matron said, "The program is over. Now you go to the wards. Now there is a lunchtime." They are not interested to go. Then Times of India asked me. I told her that you whatever questions you want to ask, you ask the medical superintendent. He is a person, qualified doctor. He'll answer all your questions. Why this sat? Actually, in schizophrenia, there is only one thought is going on throughout 24 hours, and that chain is broken because of music, and they started responding. Second thing is there is a there is a this is a statement in U.S. Psychiatric Journal, American Psychiatric Journal, that when there is a pause in between 2 musical notes, that triggers your brain. It's just like what we speak. We give a pause and we say, "Oh, effective! It should be effective." Similar kind of condition is applicable to music. And very second important thing is there should not be a repetition of phrasing. If you do the phrases repetition, the psychological the brain gives a signal, and they lose the concentration. We lose the concentration and everything. So every time there should be a fresh new phrasing in my performance, that people should be excited. Arey, what's going on? Oh, it's lovely. It's wonderful. So this is the music. Our music, I tell you, this is only the music in the world which has a time theory. There are morning ragas, afternoon ragas, sunset ragas, night ragas, post midnight, early dawn. Every after 3 hours, as the prahar changes, it they are designed as per the biological clock, and it is a beautiful base. Thing is simple studies is also possible here. We don't need to go for PET scan and a functional MRI studies. We don't need it actually. Rating scale studies simple. We did 20 emotional study in Cooper, and what a response of patients. So what I think is it should be promoted in colleges and everywhere in bands. People need it. With information, if you perform, people need it and they concentrate. So this is my music. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And it is really very enthralling to know that especially prisons, prisons are a place. I think in Samaritans Mumbai we are also trying to reach out to prisons. We have talked to reach out to them because they also have a lot of mental health issues and they are actually isolated by society and stigmatized as well. So thank you so much. Do we have any question and answers? Anybody has any questions from any panelists or comments?
See, either you speak or we speak. It's better you speak.
Okay, I have a question. I always have a question. Okay. So, Dr. Joshi, for you, when you said that you talked about people of higher strata coming with children and having an emotional neglect, I want to know about the people of lower strata who are poor. What are the issues with the poor children and from poor families?
There are people, I said just now, that I rehabilitated 3 lakh municipality children free of cost through their audiovisual aids and all that. See, they are running, even their parents can't afford to come, but the cause is different. Because if a father is a daily wager, works for 12 hours a day to get 60 rupees a day. Mother has to remove her womb because if she remains absent during her menses, she loses 50 rupees a day. So even they can't afford to come. So let's keep that aside. Unfortunate people, we are fortunate that you are knowledgeable. Knowledge is the biggest weapon under the sun thing you will alive. Middle class people like me. डॉक्टर जोशी आपका फी कितना है? बच्चा मरेगा तो भी चलेगा, फी कितना है? अरे कपड़ा तो 5,000 का पहना है. नहीं, we are very modest. शूज तो 10,000 का पहना है. Don't do calculation when you are supposed to spend right thing, right in time, right in place. I'm not against higher class or higher strata, but the biggest problem with the success globally, I was in Paris in 1998 as a research officer. We have become so much materialistic. The only definition of success is money. And we want to purchase. Now the parents, I have a teacher's son. When my fee was 10 rupees. I mean, I'm not schizophrenic that time. 34 years back, nobody will 10 rupees. Money had value. And I was bright that time, student, I had a scholarship, but my mother, being a middle class teacher, used to pay for other students, 3 students, 30 rupees, big thing. And used to get immense blessings from students to teacher, not other way around. Nowadays, people are running after the name, fame, and they divide their jobs. आदमी रखा है ना, ड्राइवर रखा है ना, टीचर रखा है ना, 10 ट्यूशन रखा है. But if you keep a tuition of a normal teacher to a learning disorder child, you keep 10 teachers. He is going to fail because how to diagnose LD? So you have to give down 1.5 hours to Dr. Joshi. If you don't believe it, nothing goes wrong. There are 10,000 psychiatrists, but take a trouble to go. Remove the inhibition.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much.
Bye.
Thank you so much, everybody on the. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Question.
Okay.
Dr. Just you said
Yes, sir.
that people lack lower strata. There are 3: lower, middle, and higher.
Yes, sir.
What we experience as Samaritans is that, and we are trying hard. Amian is one of them. He's trying hard to reach that section of the society where monetarily they are not in a position to take treatment from a psychiatrist. One is, first of all, psychiatrists are few and very few in entire society. So institutions, the organizations like Samaritans, which give free service are available to them, not for psychiatric treatment, sure, but what we give is the basic of any treatment. Emotional support is the basic of any mental health progression or mental health treatment. So from that point of view, your experience, I want to know why these lower strata of people are not coming forward despite free service to us by any chance.
Okay, the question has come from Dhritarashtra of Mahabharata. Arjun will answer it. क्योंकि हम भी कम नहीं है, सिर्फ उम्र का तकाजा है. नॉलेज से बढ़कर हथियार नहीं होता. जिस दिन नॉलेज गया जिंदगी खत्म. The biggest problem with psychiatry is a stigma. I get USA, UK patient also. Indian NRI or saying there, nothing wrong in NRI. I said, why don't you take treatment from psychiatrists who are there making me phone call 10 hours difference, waking me at 3 o'clock. Doctor, how are you? I said, I'm alive because I work for 8 hours a day. And you wake up and look, but हमारे इधर तो अभी सुबह है ना, तो उधर के psychiatrist के पास जाना. उधर का psychiatrist क्या बोलता है? Couple action therapy means sleep with another lady. Let me be all honest adult. और अभी तो चेंबर्स के बच्चे भी मेरे पास काउंसलिंग को आते हैं तो पोर्नोग्राफिक मूवी लेके आते हैं. So nobody's, I mean, everybody's tough guys. Sleep with another lady, go for a ball dance, and if you don't get treated, रोज थोड़ी थोड़ी पिया करो. I think they must have heard the Indian share थोड़ी थोड़ी पिया करो. You know, famous. But it doesn't work in life because people are afraid of speaking their problems. So you were not there for my when I was ventilating my thought. I started the organization with this intent 30 years back. The rehabilitation of 3 lakh children of municipality free of cost. Why the reason? Because if you think that you can give something to society, not only doctor, from sweeper to prime minister, do it when you are alive. Because when you are below this floor, वो कीड़ा मकोड़ा ब्रेन खाएगा बोलेगा टेस्ट नहीं डॉक्टर जोशी के ब्रेन को. That's only our value. So why people don't go to psychiatry yet? आप दरवाजा अटा के खटखटाओगे और बोलेंगे हम लोग फ्री में देते हैं. अरे पागल है क्या, दिन दहाड़े आ गया लोग बोलेंगे मेरा बच्चा पागल है, हम लोग को इधर रहने को नहीं होगा. जब तक वो डर नहीं खत्म होता तब तक लोग नहीं आएंगे. That's the biggest problem. That is one of the hurdles. लोग क्या कहेंगे? हम लोग दूसरे के लिए ही जीते, खुद के लिए जीते ही नहीं. लोग क्या कहेंगे? लोग तो कुछ कहने के लिए भगवान ने पैदा किया, काम ही क्या है दूसरा. अपना काम करते जाओ. I have written down 2 books in Marathi only for one reason. If I would have been a Tamil guy, Sindhi guy, Punjabi guy, I would have written down in my mother tongue because there are volumes of books in English, but still there are no volumes of books in Marathi. And understand, after 10th standard, I become all English medium person. When I started writing book, I was not finding my own mother tongue only. I was deconditioned to it. It was a troublesome thing. So that is one of the reasons why people won't do it, because people are afraid of stigma. I hope I have answered something.
Thank you so much. Now I will request our senior most volunteer, Manohar and Mrinalini, to please give our tributes to our founding trustees. And Manohar, please, has completed 25 years in Samaritans Mumbai Helpline. The most senior, most volunteer in our organization, without whom he has been a pillar for motivation, pillar for doing everything. What we are here is because of him. So I request you. Our managing trustees, Dr. Sara Dastoor. She started off, Samaritans UK was established in 1953, and at that time in 1916, Dr. Dastoor met Charles Guevara, the founder of Samaritans UK at that time. But at that time, and the landlines and the phones were not very in thing here. And then finally, Dr. Freddy Mahindra, she started interning with her. She was from Tata Institute of Social Sciences. And both of them finally founded Samaritans Mumbai May 1, 1993. जब हमारा पहला ट्रेन हुआ होगा. I don't recall the years then, but that was the time when we started. And from there onwards, we have just grown with a lot of hurdles. And may I say, the main hurdle is finance. May I request the donation box to be given to everybody, because we survive on donations here right now. So I will request, hello, donation box, please. Everybody, please just pass around the donation box, and whatever you feel like, please just pass it. Yes, please pass it along. And it is also how we have survived COVID as well, because our office in Dadar was there where we had 3 lines and we all used to go, but during COVID we had our own struggles like all other helplines. We went to remote befriending, and yeah, Manohar, photo session please. And Mrinalini, who's there, is also one of the senior volunteers who has completed 10 years. Big round of applause for her as well. So, guys, we'll have a 10-minute break, and thereafter we will start our program, starting with the annual report and then the cultural program. Yeah. Thank you so much.